Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. For today's video, I'm starting with two spreads I made for the ending of Uncanny Charms side stories. I'm making one spread for my reading journal and one for my archive journal. These technically should have been finished before the ones in my last journal with me, but at the end of August, my life got really chaotic. Well, I guess I shouldn't say chaotic. It just got a little bit different and I suddenly didn't have a lot of free time the way I normally would. It was really hard for me to start any sort of task because I was always constantly waiting for phone calls. But anyway, also, how do you feel about the Canva update? I love it. It feels so much brighter and more spacious, and the comment button is out of the way because I used to always click that. Also, the AI button is out of the way. Oh my god, I'm a huge AI button hater. I heard if you want the AI button taken away on Notion, you literally have to email them. I'm so tired of AI in general. But anyway, I love the update. My only issue so far is that I keep forgetting where the crop tool is now. So the background of this first spread is a calendar frame I saw on Twitter. I'll leave the link to the tweet in the description box for you. And it looks like the account posts them at the end of every single month. So it would be good if you are the kind of person that likes reflecting over your month as opposed to planning it. In case you didn't know, Uncanny Charm is one of my top favorite manhwas. Actually, it might be my favorite. I will never not recommend it, especially if you love comedy in your romance stories. It's a modern supernatural BL with a lot of Korean folklore included in the plot, and there is a plot. You can tell that author Khan put a lot of thought and care into it because the story flows so well. You can tell that she had it all planned out. I love the art, especially as the seasons go on. The background art gets better and better. The underworld scenes, if you've read this, you know, gorgeous. For the longest time, my iPad lock screen was Yumin in the underworld. The color palette there is just so pretty. And the main characters are so chaotic together, not just Bomtoon and Yoonjae, but also Gungbak, their cat, who's not really a cat. I love them so much. I really want the acrylic standees that first came out during the cafe event. The side story was actually only 4 chapters. I needed it to be another 400 chapters, but it was fun to buy them each week and get back into the world for just a little bit. I won't spoil any of it, of course, but it was really, really cute. I love that panel of Bomtoon holding up Yoonjae so much. I cannot wait to print that out and put it on the wall in my room. I've been saying that I'm going to redecorate my room. Well, not even my room, just the wall around my bookcase and my bookcase in general. I've been saying I'm going to redo it for at least a year. And I've made absolutely zero progress. All I've done is add more books to my bookshelves that I don't have the space for. Like, I haven't done anything else. Well, I guess I did kind of take down some of my K-pop stuff because I got a binder to store my bigger inclusions. So I had like some postcards that were hanging up. So I did take some of those down. But everything else has been there for like 2 years, maybe 3 years. Like, it's been decorated the way it's decorated for a really long time. And my file of stuff that I want to print out just keeps growing bigger and bigger. Like, every time I add something new to it, I'm like, okay, so now I'm up to 18 pages of stuff that I want to print out. I'm gonna have to pare it down so much. Like, I need to be at like maybe 6. Oh, I almost forgot to say that the sticker I used of the turtle and the pudding, it's exactly the same art as another sticker sheet I've used before, but on Twitter, I saw a tweet from someone showing like just stationery that they liked, and it was the infographic for a roll form of that sticker sheet, and the image quality is so much better. I'm going to upload it to Pinterest since it has the artist name included, and I can also add it in the title and the description, but I'm also going to link the tweet because I'd recommend saving it from Twitter since Pinterest diminishes the quality of photos so badly. And the reason I'm making 2 spreads is because I don't want to have the same dilemma I have with Dive, where technically it's not like I read an entire work, but also it doesn't seem right for a spread about a manhwa to only be in my archive journal. So that's why I'm making one for my reading journal and my archive journal. For the second spread, the backgrounds I used are from Pinterest. I didn't have anything else to write, so I wanted this one to be more of a big collage. Unrelated to Uncanny Charm, but it's the Chuseok holiday as I'm recording this, and you know what that means, right? I got to see Shohei again. I can't believe his family are artists. That's so cool. And his art is amazing as well. I could not believe his sculptures. Like, whoa. It was kind of grotesque maybe, but like in a really beautiful way. And also, I don't know that much about sculpture art or really just like, I guess, any art in general, but I love the way you can see the clay still. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't look like it's trying to be anything other than clay. Like, it still is kind of rough in some ways. Like, I feel like I can literally see like his fingerprints, like where he was molding stuff, and it just looks really organic or something like that, I guess. Like, the way you would imagine like a god creating something, I guess, is kind of how it reminds me. Like, it's truly as if you took this material that came out of the earth and then you sculpted it into something and gave it life. I was just so amazed. I could not believe that that talent was just hidden within Shohei. Like, who would have known? His new group is called Maestro. I feel like that's a pretty good name. My brain keeps wanting to say Maestro, though. That actually would be a good K-pop group name as well. I can't believe I'm essentially about to be a solo stan. How many times have I thought to myself, why purposefully stan someone who's in a group if you want them to be treated like a solo artist? And now I'm about to be one of those girls. One of the members' names is Yoonjae, so seeing my Yoonjae, my 2D Yoonjae, reminded me of that. I really don't watch K-pop content anymore. I'm subscribed to my favorite groups' YouTube channels, of course, so I see the videos in my feed, but I never watch anything other than maybe a music video reaction or them dancing in YouTube shorts. It's a shame because I haven't gotten to know the NCT Wish members at all, and also I feel like I haven't seen Sungchan and Shotaro in almost 2 years. But now I'll have to watch Maetro's content in order to see Shohei and learn more about him. I watched every episode of NCT Universe, of course, but we only saw bits and pieces of his personality, and also the vibe and dynamic will be completely different. Shohei was simultaneously the NCT members junior in terms of debuting, but also he was older than 10, 13 or so of the members. And back then it was more so about welcoming them into NCT. So as a fan, you already knew everyone else's personality. So it's just different now. The idea that Sungchan, Shohei, and Xion were going to be in a unit together, I can't even imagine. What a dream come true. I hope everyone in that parallel universe is having the time of their lives. Anyway, my Uncanny Charm spreads are finished, but my biggest wish is for Author Calm to add more side story chapters in the future. Then I can make more spreads. We can have a symbiotic relationship like that just goes on forever and ever. Next, I'm making a spread for Jaehyun's solo album release. I'm starting off by making a photo booth photo strip. I can't remember what the dimensions are off the top of my head, but I'll have them on the screen right now so you can see too. I had no clue what I was even doing while trying to make this. People who design photo booth frames are really, really talented. Personally, I just kept trying colors around until I found something that I liked. And also, there's this collection on Canva that I love. It's like a pixel style alphabet along with some symbols like hearts and stars. So I wanted to use that to spell out Jaehyun. Oh, Jaehyun, where do I even begin with how much I love his album? Even the fact that it's called J is so simple and cool. The photos I'm using for this are screenshots from the music video. I really wasn't sure what it would be like because ever since SM restructured, nothing is the same. For better or worse, all the music videos are really conceptual now. I miss NCT's lore a lot. Not that it would necessarily show up in a solo, though I guess it kind of did for Taeyong. And not NCT, but by Kai has his teleportation powers. But like I said, I couldn't even guess what it would look like. Even once the music video teaser images were released, would it be something stereotypical with him chasing after a girl? Fortunately, fans who are insane won this battle because it was so weird and cool. Hang on, I'll read you what I wrote in my journal. I said, "The nectar, ? And when he drank the water from that lily, my mind draws connections to the Garden of Eden, the first sin, forbidden blooms. And that scene of him gazing into the bathtub water like Narcissus captured by his own reflection." End of journal quote. Later in an interview, Jaehyun and the interviewer were actually talking about how it referenced the myth of Narcissus. Also, years ago, these girls on Twitter, they may have been fanfic writers, I don't know, but they used to always talk about how Jaehyun is secretly infatuated with himself. I hope and pray those girls are still in Citizens because their jaws must have dropped to the floor. Imagine seeing your absurd ramblings realized. The beginning, when he's rushing through the hotel so fast he can barely get his jacket off because he's so excited to get the process started, taping up the cracks in the doors. Is that not? I talked about this last year around Halloween time, but I love corruption as a theme. I think it's so sexy. Jaehyun singing Hot Girl Pump Up the AC and covered in a mysterious fluid. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, and at the end of the music video, it was so cute to me because he got to have his little Justin Timberlake suit and tie moment. He also said that the entity that shows up at the end is a different deity entirely, and he would leave it up to us to use our imagination to decide who that is. You might have thought I was only going to make one spread for Jaehyun's album because that's the reasonable thing to do, but I started feeling like the spread I made was too colorful and I wanted it to fit the vibe and the aesthetic of the album more, so I made another spread. The concept of today's video is accidentally mirror reflections. Doubles, doppelgangers, things that are like one thing but are actually something else entirely, changelings. I can't remember exactly what I searched on Pinterest, but basically I knew I wanted a vintage illustration of lilies. There were so many different plant illustrations in the style though, and I thought the wallpaper with the green stripes was simple and matched the green tones really well. Then I searched Canva for paper rips, and I wasn't exactly sure what I would find. I was thinking there might be like a lot of kind of like brown craft paper kind of rips like that, but I found the perfect element for the look I was going for. It's a white piece of paper, but the rip is kind of jagged and also like faded. I'm guessing that like the element itself like might be like a little bit transparent at the edges, and it blends so perfectly. I was really pleased I found that. It was exactly what I was looking for. I should talk about my favorite songs. First of all, Smoke is so good. The moment I heard him say, "I'm trying to get caught up with you," I was like, oh yeah, this is it. Come pick me up then. I'm obsessed with the English version too. It's so good. I don't know why, but I really wasn't expecting the whole album to be almost entirely English, or I guess I should say to have so much English in it. It's fun to be able to sing along. My favorites are Smoke, either version, and Dandelion. If I had to describe the way I perceive Jaehyun, like how he feels in my head, it's Dandelion. It's so warm and sweet. I absolutely love it. The underrated song of the album is Easy. I can't believe Jaehyun hasn't performed it yet in any of the promotions he's done. I love it. The part where he says, "Ooh, don't get it confused. I'm that someone you don't ever want to lose." Exactly. I just need all of you next to me. Baby girl, I know you know there ain't no one like me. Yeah, I love it. But Flamin' Hot Lemon is the track constantly stuck in my head though. Attitude Spicy holding an iced tea. And Roses is so integral because we as a society do not have enough men falling to their knees in the rain songs. At this point, I'm just listing every single song on the album, but I really do love them all. Can't Get You is so late night at a jazz bar, and you lock eyes over your drinks as you're both taking a sip. Then you find yourselves making your way to the dance floor until you slowly but inevitably end up dancing together. A long time ago, I made a mini playlist with the thought of Jaehyun in a 2000s rom-com, and I remember the theme of the beginning of the playlist was meeting late night on a beach with live music playing. I feel like we get each other. One of the first things I loved about Jaehyun was his taste in music. God, I accidentally turned someone into a K-pop stan, which is a sin I'll probably be atoning for forever. And after years of listening to me rave about Jaehyun like a madwoman, as she was getting into NCT, she asked me, "Why Jaehyun?" And I literally gave her a long bulleted list, and all she said back was that she heard his speaking voice and she gets it now. No, you don't. You're so far from getting it. Having a parasocial boyfriend is so fun. Oh, I almost forgot to explain that little quote that I added. That's from a Teen Vogue interview, and the interviewer, when they were talking about the music video, she called that liquid that Jaehyun is doused in syrup. And like, I feel like that should be a crime. Syrup, that it was something, but it was not syrup. I knew that would make me laugh anytime I saw it in the future, so I had to include it in this spread too. Honestly, I like both spreads, so I guess I'm just gonna put both of them into my journal. Jaehyun takes up a large portion of my heart, so why not a large portion of my digital journal? Now that I'm done being insane, the last spread is my August reading log. I didn't have time to make spreads about the individual stories, unfortunately, and I didn't want to forget anything that I read. Also, as soon as I saw that watermelon wallpaper on Pinterest, I wanted to use it so badly. And to go with it, I decided to make my own background again. Sometimes images from Pinterest are just so low quality. Like when I zoom in on spreads, the difference between something I've saved from Twitter or a Google Drive versus what I find on Pinterest is crazy. For this background, first I changed the color of the background. I made it a gradient because I thought it would add some depth, I guess. And then I took my favorite rounded star from Canva and changed the color of it to different shades of blue, and I just dotted them around. I tried to scatter them in a way that looked random. Of course, I went back and fussed with all the placements later after I was no longer screen recording. But yeah, that's all I did. And then I would definitely suggest going back through all the elements and then locking them into place. Because if you wanted to, you could always use the same star placements. Again, you could change the colors of them and make another background with them. I only read a few things last month, actually, but I still wanted to remember them. The first thing I read was Off Track Crush, which is a short manhwa about a professional basketball player who's always had a crush on his older friend. It's the opposite of Uncanny Charm. There's very little plot. Also, the side stories aren't translated, but I still wanted to read it because the art style was so nice. I'm happy that I did read at least the main story. I think it's like 6 chapters. And then I read Lonely Playground Volume 1 and 2, which was a manga series about a restaurant worker who meets an office worker by chance, and he finds out the office worker is in a really awful relationship with a way older man, an older man who's married and has kids. The covers of that series kind of look like they're going to be about something else, but the actual story was so healing to see a character moving away from a toxic relationship and improving their self-esteem and realizing that they deserve to be loved in a way that is kind and healthy. I thought that was really beautiful, especially for it to be a manga series that has a lot more explicit scenes. I thought that there was a lot of character growth and development. Characters being there for one another is just my favorite kind of love story always. And then the last book I read, it was a manga called In August, and it was about two different couples, though it's not the same story. It was two different stories of two different couples. It was very short. I think the first story was 2 chapters and the second story was 3 chapters. And then there was an extra chapter like for bonus stories. So yeah, it was very short, but I liked both stories a lot. I liked both couples a lot. I wish it were longer is all. And that's everything I read in August. And also the end of all of my summary spreads. I'm actually re-recording this part of the video, my little outro, because last time when I recorded this, I was freaking out so badly. I had to go to an event. That feels kind of weird to say an event. I had to go to a funeral home, unfortunately. My best friend, her grandmother passed away, which was really sad, but I was also incredibly anxious about having to go and mingle, I guess. I wasn't even alone. My mom went with me, but it was still scary. And also I met her boyfriend for the first time ever, which is crazy because they've been dating for like 5 years. And when I met him, he went to shake my hand and I did not move a single inch. I didn't move a single muscle. And he just kind of like slid his hand into his pocket really smoothly. So like, I guess it wasn't embarrassing, but I still saw it happen. And then after we were like, oh yeah, like it's good to meet you, etc., he said, yeah, I've heard a lot about you guys. And I was like, oh my God, what does that mean? And then my mom was like, yeah, she was like hugging my best friend. She was like, yeah, this is my second daughter. And I was like, I'm your second daughter. I was like, you have another daughter. So isn't my best friend more like your third daughter? But anyway, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Of course, I always make things worse in my head than they actually are, right? I was weird and poorly dressed as anticipated though. My mom would not let me leave the house in like non-winter clothes essentially, which is crazy because I'm an adult. And then when we were leaving, she was like, we were the only people in winter clothes. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder why. It was like 80 degrees outside. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. The links to all my social media are in the description box. And also I have a little surprise in my next video for everyone that I'm really excited about. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.